and welcome. Good morning to Tuesday morning with Tara. How are you? Are you doing well? Are you fantastic? We should start with a thing. I hope you are fantastic. I hope you are well. Isn't this exciting? This is fantastic. So thank you for joining me yesterday. What fun that was. I met so many interesting, fabulous, remarkable, wonderful people, and I've been in touch with you a lot of yesterday and through the night. So it is lovely to see you all. Hello, and thank you for joining me again. And I can see the crew arriving as I speak. So I hope you are fantastic. I hope you are well. You're doing well. So we should start with a hello, welcome, coffee, wine, whatever you have in front of you. Cheers. I'll also commence with an acknowledgement of country, acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today, elders past and present, and any Indigenous colleagues with us today. Isn't this fantastic? Isn't this remarkable? Now, I know there's all this stuff about social distancing. Well, we don't do that sort of stuff, do we? We've got Peter Capaldi. We've got our four gorgeous pinata of the apocalypse. We are not alone. We are magnificent. We are wonderful. We are together through time. So I'll just do a quick shout out to the people that have already joined us. Bessie's in, Danny's in, Gigi. How's it going, mate? Hope it's all going well for you. Party on. We like pictures on the way through. Queen Jen, you're joining me again. That's brilliant. Maggie, Rebecca. Oh, haven't you got a posh name, Rebecca? Rebecca Carpenter Mew. Oh, I love a good hyphen. That's terrific. Danny's back in the house. I hope you are fantastic. Gigi's partying on already. Keep it going, mate. That's fantastic. Queen Maeve's in the house. Big shout out to all the crew in ISO. We need to do that. That's a big crew now. You're all there. You're exercising around the house. You're waving frantically. You're making Uber Eats a fortune. So I hope you're having a great time. But we are thinking of you. You are precious to us. And let's just enliven your day a little bit. So you're starting it with a cup of coffee, or you're finishing it with a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, and we are together through this. So I hope you're doing well. Who else have we got? Lovely Mary's in, Moed's in. How are you? That's fantastic. Sania's in. Good evening, Sania. That's great stuff. Kate's in. G'day, Bruce. Lovely to see you, mate. Marcello's in. Great to see you. Queen Dawn. Hello, Dawn. Darling one, I hope you're okay. Sonic Architecture, mate. Sonic Architecture. Christine, lovely to see you again. Oh, it's all happening. That's terrific. Steve Hall. Steve, you will create mischief. I know you're going to create mischief. So you can either be silent or you can create and unleash the dogs of war, Steve. I expect that. Fantastic. So great to see you. And oh, and Libby. Libby has just reported to us all her hubby's tests were negative. That's fantastic. So I'm assuming the whole family was tested. We'll see what happens. That's terrific. So team, it is great to see you. So thank you for being here. I think we scared Karen off. No, Karen will be with us shortly. Can I say I am all alone in the office? I am all alone in the office. So if anything happens, I sort of have to be responsible. So I thought I would concentrate. And obviously I'm in full Lady Darth gear today. So if anything happens, I will defend you all. I promise. Just don't tell security. Okay, so, and I promise I won't hurt anybody. It's with love. It's with kindness. It's goth kindness. It's goth love throughout the universe. So team, thank you for being here. Now, you gave me homework yesterday and I gave you homework yesterday. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make sure too that I ask some questions a little bit earlier in each of our sections so I can get live feedback from you all as well, so I can give you a little bit more time on the way through, because I was busy with how many 433 comments that you gave me yesterday to work through. So what I'm going to do is make sure when we're doing a section, I'll pose what's my sort of meta question at the start and answer that, and we can make sure everybody's got time to engage. Gorgeous Liv, hello Olivia, you're wonderful. And Steve Hall, you have never behaved in your entire life. I know you. So create havoc. So what, everyone, watch Steve Hall. Just watch him. He's a problem. He's also one of the greatest scholars on planet Earth. So do watch that wonderful gentleman. He's a legend. Hello, Les. Maggie is still single. Okay, I just need to announce that Maggie is still single. We need to do something. Mag, if you'd like to post a picture, we can, obviously for all the crew in ISO, they can look forward to your presence in the future. So team, I'm going to post those questions early in our section, and I can then engage with you and give you guys a little bit of time to offer some commentary, because we've got some big stuff today. So the requests from yesterday, team, were really, really clear. They were about remote working. So how you do it, how you enact remote working, but also those of us that are maybe not even in ISO, how we remain focused in what are incredibly dislocated times. There's no doubt about that. Even those of us who are still in the workplace and socially distanced, even those of us that are in this sort of situation, it just feels a bit weird all of the time. So how do we remain focused? For our crew that are doing PhDs and research masters, how do you focus on making sure that, right, I'm working on this thesis now, I'm doing it? So I'm going to come up with a series of strategies. Yes, we're doing a Tara 10 tips, deal with it. We're doing some options about how to stay focused, and also about expectation management during this interesting time. So how to create focus, how to remain connected to your thesis during these difficult times. Also, we're going to have our little methodological intervention today, and I'm going to discuss unobtrusive research methods. So that's a bit of a 1950s, 1960s flashback, but actually this is, I've always been a big believer in unobtrusive research methods. You know, they're unpopular, but so am I, so just move on. But during this time, when getting reactive data sets is a lot more challenging, right, well, how do we explore and utilize what we have now, non-reactive data sets, and deploy unobtrusive research methods? Are you curious? Well, we'll be back to that shortly. So unobtrusive research methods, I'm going to post some links for you. So the great scholar of unobtrusive research methods, a guy called Keller here, really cool guy, I'm going to post a little bit of his work that's available for free, so you can have a little bit of a read. And the reason for that is, for all of you out there, from the hard sciences through to the high humanities, you might be enacting reactive data sets and reactive methodologies, but how do you use well what you've got? And unobtrusive research methods are a strategy to do that. And Rebecca, that's looking great. Yes, yes. Can I just say, we're going to come back to that, Rebecca. Can everyone log Rebecca's great point there? 200 words a day. Thanks for playing. 1,000 words in a week. 1,000 words a time. That's how you get to a PhD. Boom. Thanks for playing. Beck, spot on point. Well done, you. Okay. We are, of course, via popular demand. Well, not really, it's just me and all the people in my head, but that's popular. Can I just say, we are going to be doing interlude, so get ready for that. I'm hoping you're dancing with me. Please be dancing with me, or else it's just an embarrassment. And of course, it's just not embarrassment, it's dancing. So I want you to dance with me, desk dancing, do that. And yes, Steve Hall, it will be truly tragic. Acid House once more, you credible folky type, you. So what we're going to talk about, really the focus for the day, is how you can be kind to yourself and with yourself and others, to not only survive in this really difficult time, but to thrive in this difficult time. Okay, so do we have a deal, everybody? We ready to do that? That's sort of the party for the day as well. Hello, Hind, you are wonderful. Love you too. Good morning, Liz. It's all happening. Oh, Maeve, you're going to be dancing with me. That's terrific. Maddie. Matt Homer, one of my dear friends on planet Earth, a legend in Hove, actually, not Brighton, just Hove, actually. Maddie, lovely to see you again. How many years ago did I teach you, Maddie? And you've gone on to incredible success. I'm so thrilled for you. Love you. Kylie, fantastic. Paul, mate, how are you? Oh, the North lives. This is fantastic. Terrific. Desk dancing. Woohoo. Thanks, Liz. Let's do this. And Amanda. So great. Guys, let's get into this. So let's start with the homework that you gave me. And oh, wow, it was stressing out last night. The homework you gave me was how to make remote working work for you. So I'd actually done a series of LinkedIn learning sessions on remote working over the weekend and did a few more yesterday. So it is quite interesting, isn't it, in terms of like capitalism, that there's a lot of stuff on LinkedIn about how to do remote working, because outside of a coronavirus, it links in with the casualised workplace, the gig economy, the precariat, basically. So it allows a flexible workforce to come in and out without the expenses of an office. So it works tremendously for a whole series of different corporations, remote working. But of course, in times like this, the flexibility actually matters, because it's flexibility for you as much as flexibility for our students, your candidature, and indeed the entire workforce. So let's make it work for us. Was that you, Karen? Kate, darling, do you want to just wave, Kate? Kate,
that I put my head in.
That is the gorgeous, you look gorgeous. So this is the gorgeous Kate Wilson. You've got to keep your metre and a half away. This woman is one of the most brilliant, glorious human beings on planet Earth. Those of you at Flinders University, you'll be engaging with the wonderful Kate in progressions. So Kate, darling, if you just, before you head out into the universe, to go get coffee. Yes, no one else is here yet, it's just me. So Kate, is there anything in terms of the upstairs crew, how you've, I wish I could sort of turn, I'm sort of feeling weird, sort of like, I'm looking at you, looking at backwards, it's just like, it's very odd, Kate. Odder than usually you and I relate. Kate, any vibe you get upstairs in terms of the last couple of weeks about changes to people's candidature that you just like to log for the crew?
Probably the main one that I'm getting questions about in progressions is to do with milestone presentations and all of that sort of thing. So obviously we're going to be flexible, but there's so many different platforms that you can conduct them on. Teleconferencing, go old school, Skype, Zoom. We're looking at the program that's available through Flow as well to set that up.
Flow is our Moodle version, by the way, for colleagues around the world.
And so really there's no point in postponing what you need to get done to keep moving on in your candidature. So you might as well try and set something up. And it can be, obviously, you're not going to present to a seminar room full of 100 people. You might present to your 2 supervisors, a coordinator from the college, and an assessor.
But also other brand new audiences too. So we will, in the Office of Graduate Research, promote all those online candidatures. So that's like the mid-candidature, the end of candidature, the confirmation of candidature. And so colleagues, you don't put them off. Don't stop your candidature. Actually, you'll be delivering it just in a different way, and maybe a better way. So Kate, I think that's a really great point. So team, keep going. Or when you're getting multiple highs. Hi. I always knew you were popular. Coffee. I knew you were more popular than me.
No.
I knew that. Kate, darling, at least you got the black memo. Winning. So, sweetheart, you go get a coffee. Come back when you feel like it. Love to the hood.
And email us if you need anything. We're here.
Love you forever.
Bye.
Who knew that was a thing? Gorgeous Kate is a legend. Darling, have a good day, babe. Right, so remote working. So we're all still here, but if you are not, we're able to manage you remotely, of which a Zoom milestone is a great example. See, who knew this was going to be like this today, but it was. Okay, so how do we make remote working operate for you? And look, I just want to start with a mantra, if I can. And it's a mantra I live by. And that mantra is, don't use a fork to eat soup. Don't use a fork to eat soup. Life lesson, eh? And what it means is, always pick the tool that is useful for the particular task that you want to achieve. So if you've only got a fork available, then team, maybe you eat rice. You don't go, oh yeah, I'm just going to go with this tomato soup, even if I've got a fork going on, right? So you got this implement that's available. So you've got Zoom. You've got an online environment. So what can you do with it rather than try to eat tomato soup with a fork? And it is the same with remote working, right? Because you are at home. Okay, you are at home, hi to the crew and ISO. But assuming that you can work at home in the same way that you work in a library or in an office like this, well, hashtag using the castle, you're dreaming. You're dreaming. It's bonkers. So what you need to do is match the implement, the infrastructure, the interface with the vibe of what's going on right now. Now, everything is changing at the moment. It really is. It's a radically weird, extraordinary time. And what I'd say to you at times of change, and Steve, you might want to comment on this theoretically, but in times of change, we all have to be incredibly alert. So if we're dealing with teaching and learning in these times, you need to speak the words. You need to speak your assumptions. You need to speak your fears. So all the assumptions that usually exist in the doctoral space or research and teaching more generally. Team, we can't get into that space, right? We can't get there. You have to speak the words and express your fears, your worries, the advantages, the things that are concerning you. Okay, so that's really important. And so how do you stay connected with your thesis? That is the truly great question. So what I'm going to do at this point is ask you at this juncture, and I'm going to put in the question now before we move to the next bit, and this is sort of the bit that's concerning me a little bit. And you know all those great memes, like that wonderful guy that was doing the BBC interview, and like his fabulous kids came in and his wonderful wife screamed, and I think the poor bugger was going to the toilet. I was like, what's happening? Unbelievable. So what I would say to you, and the question I have is, how in these times when you are working from home, good morning MA, when you're working from home, how do you balance the private and the public space, right? So this is quite important to me. I sort of do have a public and a private space, and it does worry me in some ways that the private space, our home, our blessed home with our family, with our friends, all that sort of stuff, is now being used as a workplace. There's all sorts of interesting theoretical political economy things to be resolving about that. But how, team, hi Kate, hi Gab, how are you going to ensure that even if your private space is now public, is now a workplace, that you make sure that there's still a private space for you? So I'm used to working from home, but not with my husbands and kids at home. Thank you, Lib. So that's important too, because they are your kids and you want to find a way to separate out the public and the private space. So Lib, I think that's an important point, how you make sure that the husband has the space, the kids have the space, the partner has the space, and the working environment is going on. Gigi, that's what's worrying me. Gigi's just expressed in the comments, team, she feels like home is now being invaded by work. How I've handled it in the past, Gigi, without the coronavirus, is obviously I've done my research, my writing, in some ways my stuff at home, and I've done the dean work in many ways, except for the vlogs. I've done the dean work in this office. So I very rarely answer emails outside of the working day. So that was the way I've separated it by functionality. So that may be able to work, but maybe not if all work's happening from home. So think about functions and location. So if you've got a work office, then really do function that off. But also think about time, because suddenly time orientation becomes important. So think about how the working hours, don't let the 24/7 thing happen. Don't let your mobile phone determine your life, all right? That's really, really important. Also think about communication systems in this new environment. So how you are going to communicate with your supervisors. And again, use my point, team, be overt, right? Talk about it with your supervisors. This is, in this new environment, how we are going to communicate and negotiate and talk with them, okay? They are incredibly busy too. And can I say, with my own wonderful students, many of whom are on this call, it is a very challenging time to be a supervisor, to care for our students, but also everything else that's going on. So if you can focus on being decent and kind and respectful, that makes a real difference. And we're going to get back there in a second. Also make sure that your peer relationships take place. So those of you that, are used to sharing a lab, used to sharing an office, particularly in the social sciences, you share an office, that means a great deal. In the sciences, you have a regular lab meeting. What's going to happen if you don't have that? So put in place strategies if you can, so that the virtual lab meeting once a week, once a fortnight can take place and the peer relationships continue. Also, fantastic librarians. Okay, that's incredibly important. We try and make sure, and through the vlogs you've met a lot of our librarians, that the librarians have a name, they have a face. They are more important to you than just about anything on planet Earth at this juncture. So if you haven't got the name of a librarian, contacted that librarian, do it now, because those people are going to save your life. So when in doubt, Some of my best friends are librarians because I'm incredibly selfish. It's like I've picked the brightest people in the world to be my friends and they happen to be librarians. Fantastic. So librarians, but also make sure that there is time for your family and your friends. This is really significant. So don't let work, as Gigi said, don't let work expand and explode into the universe for yourselves. Okay, very importantly, make sure, that you're able to have those intimate relationships and they're meaningful. Okay, and that's significant because I can see screens and mobile phones and iPads and all the rest of it infiltrate all of our life. So let's try and stop that a little bit. And I often call this is about interface selection. So, interface studies is big, but this is about picking the interface that suits the particular target or the outcome that you want and the audience that you want. So this is about thinking about who is your audience, what is the dissemination that you're interested in, and how can we make it meaningful. And do not assume for 1 minute that the same interface can be used for everything. So we're having this coffee. Should we have another coffee? Let's just have a sip. Those of you drinking heavily with the single malt, knock yourself out. Needless to say, I'm just on the coffee. But you notice we're doing this by Facebook Live. I'm not using Collaborate or Moodle because this is about an international community having a chat. So this is about leisure. This is about being relaxed. This is about being groovy. Oh, and Barb the Mighty's back. Geez, I'd love to be Tara the Mighty. Wouldn't that be a thing? And Barb the Mighty said something crucial. Headphones. Look, I've always had the headphones to exercise in, but the Madonna Vogue, I think the gaming headphones is like the future. So that's really important. Yeah. So interface management. And also, can I just, as Dean, I've been seeing some interesting stuff in the last couple of weeks. Keep the emails relatively formal if you can. So if you're having a bit of a moment, we've all had them, if you're having a bit of a moment, team, then probably don't overshare that. So it's like at that point when you're going, don't send an email, particularly don't send an email to the dean. Look, you can, but if it's me, it's fine. But all I'm saying is, get yourself centered and focused and feeling cool before you send emails, because what's happening sort of at the moment is people are freaking out and then they're immediately sending an email and CCing it to half of South Australia or indeed half of Lancashire. So team, probably don't do that. Sort of settle, have a think, have a breath, have a walk, and then go, right, well, what information do I require of this person and what is the best interface to use to get there? Okay, so that's quite important, I think. Keep it formal. Use the informal interfaces like this. If you're wanting informal chats, that's incredibly important. And also, I think, come to Skype, come to Zoom, even come to Facebook like this with a plan, Stan. It's always important to have a plan, Stan. So as you can see with this gig today, I've got a running sheet of sort of what I'd like to do. We're going to what you would like to do, but to not waste your time, I've sort of got a vibe of things that are interesting to talk about, and that's what we're exploring and discussing. All right, so come into every situation, every Zoom meeting with just a few headings and see how we go. So all of this is about building a culture. It's about building a different type of culture. I think the world will be different after this. Because I think we'll appreciate, as my wonderful beloved husband says, Jamie Quinton, the small things are the big things. He's always said that, and I really think on a time like this, it's incredibly important to recognise that. The small things are really the big things. So remember, we've got a different culture. All sorts of odd things are occurring. A lot of us working remotely are not managing a commute. So that's half an hour a day that you magically and suddenly have, and that's important. So what I'd advise, this is the other sort of point about working remotely, is I would have a plan. I would have a schedule every single day. So the night before, I would have 8 things, maybe with a time attached. If you've got kids, that's impossible, I know. But schedule your next day the night before, and make sure that schedule includes exercise, time with the kids, cooking. My nightmare, laundry. Just because it's not pleasant means I don't have to do it. Tara versus laundry. I fail every day. It's just an epic fail. And people say, what's the great sadness in your life? Laundry, right? Okay, so Tara versus laundry. I have to schedule laundry like this half an hour. me versus laundry, I'm going to lose, but I'm going to lose less than if I hadn't given it that half an hour. So schedule everything, including breaks, including movement. And I think the challenge with remote working, and I'm seeing this in the office on a daily basis, is that students and crew are becoming overwhelmed. Are you? Are you? That like suddenly everything's sort of happening and nothing's sort of happening and nothing seems like it's in control. And I really, really get that. And when you get in that state, so the overwhelmed state, it can lead to being freaked out. Uh, Hello, Julie. It can lead to being freaked out. You can be sort of a bit weird, a bit stressed. And, that's when you start sending the emails to half of South Australia, or for gorgeous Lauren, half of Tallahassee. You just start doing weird stuff. So if you feel yourself starting to do weird stuff, well, weirder than normal. I mean, you know me. Where's my stuff? There's my stuff. Here we go. If you feel yourself doing weird stuff, then realise, oh, look, something's going on. What is going on? And right through that issue before you overshare that. So I think at this point, the way to approach remote learning is with really two big questions, I think. Who am I? Always a challenging question, but also what are my values? And if you start with a values-driven approach to the world in difficult times, then you probably won't go astray. So express the values and then come to every social interaction, every challenge, every moment with those values. I think that'll make a real difference. So schedule heavily, keep the friendships going. And of course, we've got great people that are meeting in the comments now. As I thought, several marriages will be formed. We can see this. So Sarah Casey, SC, we're still looking for love for you, mate. Look, we're going to find that for you, mate. By the end of the year, I reckon, SC, I'm going to be organising that wedding for you, let me tell you, girl. But what I'm saying is social time really matters, guys. And it's very easy to get completely overwhelmed and buried in work. And I was almost, as Jamie would know, hello, Jamie just joined. I got probably a bit overwhelmed this morning at about 3 a.m. I was like, oh, wow, this is just really heavy. This is really heavy. And then I went, look, no, hour at a time, half an hour at a time. What do I need to achieve? What is a good effort on a day such as this? And maybe that's the vibe that we go. So that's our first bit about things to think about with remote learning. So the next question, and I'm going to post this question early, team, so you can answer it while I'm just riffing off. Danny, that's a great point. A timer where you work for 25 minutes and then a 5-minute break. And I can see people have gone bonkers, Danny. Absolutely magnificent. I think the 25-minute cycle at the moment is a ripper. I think an hour is a bit long at the moment. It's funny you said 25 minutes. I think that's absolutely perfect. Oh, and Liz, aren't you posh? Like a bit of Bose headphone work, bit of classical music. Oh, right. When I'm going classical, I'm thinking craft work, but that's a whole other saga. So, team, the question I'm going to ask you is, with everything that's happening now, so we've done the remote working, let's now focus on focus. Let's focus on focus, how we maintain focus. So hello, Alex. Hello, Michelle. Learning-led research. I'm going to get that article off you, Michelle. And Nat. How are you, Natalie, my darling? It is lovely to see you again. Hello, Lauren, in your study. Can't manage without you, Lauren. You are just the light in the darkness. Fantastic. So, Bobby's in the house. That's fantastic. How are you, Bobster? Love you. Multitasking, but your voice is loud and clear. I have a voice like a foghorn, Lauren. You know that. The nature of being an Australian is we approach every problem with an open mouth. So yes, speaking is not our problem. We are not a vocally challenged people. So we are talkers, and so we'll just overshare that. But great, guys. Debster, great to see. Does Jamie have a twin? Deb, sadly, Jamie is an only child. So there was only one. There can be only, hold on, Highland a moment. There can be only one. And I got him. But Deb is also in the market team. So there's a lot of ladies, fantastic ladies, they're looking for love. So for the gentlemen out there that are single and circulating, this is the comment list that you need to be activating now. Don't think about eHarmony. What was the other one? Don't think about silver singles. Who knew that was a thing? silver singles, really? Just be using this comment list because some of the greatest women and men on planet Earth are in this list. Okay, so how do we maintain focus? Isn't that funny? It's like I'm away and then I'm back. So focus. So how do we maintain focus? Now, I did come up with Tara's 10 tips on how to do this. So let's do this quickly while you're responding to my question on that. Oh, yes. And can I just say, Libby, there are a lot of apps there about how to manage time. And this is probably a good opportunity to go into a new app and see what's happening. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. So let's go to maintaining focus here and just my quick 10 tips. You'll have 57,000 better ones. But the first one is stop online notifications. Really important at the moment. If you are attached to your mobile phone or your laptop, and Facebook is loving this, the stuff's just coming in, Twitter, LinkedIn, before we even get to Instagram, dear God. So team, what I would really advise is stop all notifications. And I'm not saying don't use social media. I'm saying the exact opposite. If you're on your own, and a lot of us are, if you're on your own, then those social media connections are real connections and you need to use them now, okay? But use them on your terms rather than what your mobile phone tells you to do. So stop all notifications, and using that great example about 25 minutes and then 5 minutes, that's a great way. Do 25 minutes, go for a walk, 25 minutes, look at social media. Okay, that's a great example. Number 2, sorry for everyone with kids and or dogs and or cats, but this is a good one. Close your door when possible. It's an important one. The greatest example of someone who can actually focus is they can close their door. If you can't, I get that, if the kids and everything, don't do it. But if it is an opportunity for you for half an hour to close your door and explain to the people around you, look, when the door is closed, just give me this 25 minutes and I'll see you in 5. Close your door. 3, schedule short sessions of intensity. Really, really important if you can. So short sessions, sharp, in, out, shake it all about, thanks a lot. And that's going to be important. At this particular point on the planet, hoping for the long working day just ain't going to happen. Keep it short and sharp. Leisure matters is my number 4. Leisure matters. Don't forget it. Go for the walk if you're really in isolation. And look, the UK is getting quite interesting at the moment. Walk around the backyard, walk around the house, put on those interesting sort of Jane Fonda, Let It Burn videos, do all of that sort of stuff, create a new type of leisure. And 5 is, of course, exercise matters. Absolutely everything. I know a lot of you are doing more downward facing dogs in the last fortnight than you've done in your entire life. So just keep doing the downward facing dogs. Mindfulness. Wow, who knew we'd go there? The answer to everything is mindfulness. Right, now 6 is a big one. And this one came last night after some of the stuff that was happening with our students and our staff yesterday at Flinders. So make sure you have an array of low complexity tasks for a bad day. So that might mean today I'm doing headings, I'm doing a table, I'm doing formatting, I'm checking references. So this is really important. If you're having a bad day and like the day's getting away from you, right? You know those days like, right, nah, it's away from me. If you're having one of those days, then wow, you know what? Have a list of 20 tasks, 10 tasks that if you're brain dead and you've got 20 minutes, do that task, and then the day is not wasted. So have the low grade tasks ready to go. 7, important one, share your goals with your family, your spouse, your friends, your kids. So if you've got things you want to do this week, then I would have, and we call it in my household, a business meeting. We have a business meeting on Sundays where these are the tasks of the week, and we share them, we speak the words overtly, we write it down, we have a list. So share the goals, and this is what my goals are this week, they're yours, that's the household goals. And with that alertness, they've got a chance of getting done, because you can't achieve something if you don't name the something. If you name the something, you can do it. Also 8, so important, we'll return here in a sec, don't demand the impossible of yourself. Research high degree students are perfectionists and some of the brightest people on planet Earth. And you have incredibly impossible demands of yourself when things are going well. Add a coronavirus, and it's just not a great space for you to be in. So what I would ask is you turn down the vibe a bit. Turn it down for me. And what you expect of yourself was too high at the best of times, to be honest with you. At this point, just be kind to yourself, okay? And that leads to number 9, forgive yourself. So if you've had a bad day and all you've done is check 5 references because you've had a 4-year-old and been running around with the 4-year-old all day, if you've checked those references, well done. You've had a good day. And 10, remember Scarlett O'Hara. Remember Scarlett O'Hara. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another day. So if today was a shocker, then you go, you know what, tomorrow we're rocking and rolling. So for me, the goal is always low expectations. A lot of you have heard me say, I have incredibly low expectations. And I tell the joke, of course, that, you know, as a heterosexual woman, I have to have low expectations. Joking. But I actually do have low expectations. I don't expect this to end well. The advantage of being a goth in my youth is I don't expect any of this to end well. And so in the nature of contemporary life, I'm absolutely accurate. But what I do expect is just this: if I do this today, I'm happy. And I've sort of lived the last 30 years like that. It's like, I'd like to get this done today. If I get this done, that's terrific. But if I get that little bit of stuff done in a couple of hours, winning, we've had a good day. And that leads to our next bit, from remote working to staying focused, to the next bit, which is how to connect with your thesis. So in difficult times, how to stay connected with your thesis. So for our experienced researchers out there, hello, Steve, we're waiting for that book, mate. Waiting for the book. So for our experienced researchers that are in the house, hello to gorgeous Kate, I saw her come in too. This can be framed and reframed in terms of how you stay connected with your project. So if you're trying to write a key article, write a book, and the world is going bonkers, then how do you manage it? And of course, I've always managed it with low expectations. So the question to focus you all now is, how are you going to, hello Roz, lovely to see you, Queen. Roz, doing your thesis at the moment, Roz. How are you going to manage your high expectations in tough times? So you have high expectations for yourself, for your family, for your research, for your career. Well, how are you going to manage that during really difficult times? Okay. And I've got a way I do this. I have a list of, every week, by the way, every week I do this, 20 really low grade tasks that I need to do. Easy stuff that I can do on a bad day. And I've always done that. So on my Sunday, here are 20, if I'm having a bad day, here are 20 things that I can just do if my brain is having to do all this other stuff at work and my research is at home. What 20 things do I at least get a sense of, right, well, I've moved that project forward. And that might be a useful strategy for you, right? Okay, this is a bad week. Here are 20 low grade things. If I can get the formatting right on these tables, then I'm winning. And if it's useful to you, the research shows, team, that the people who finish their PhDs are the ones that stay connected with it every single day. Now, that connection does not mean I'm sitting with that thesis for 8 hours a day. The connection means I'm spending 20 minutes with the thesis. So the people that attempt to work on their thesis every second day, or I'll have a thesis day on Friday, no. The people who finish do exactly what one of our colleagues said, 200 words a day, have 20 minutes on the thesis every single day. So the key is stay connected with that thesis. And I had a great chat with a gentleman in the office yesterday who's at home, remote working, and he's got a 4-year-old. And he thought he'd be able to do a lot more work than he's actually been able to do with a 4-year-old. And so he's getting worried because he wasn't getting a lot of work done, and he thought, the time is slipping, help me, Tara, what can I do to make this operate? And I suggested to him the equivalent of high intensity training. So basically CrossFit as a PhD student, right? So as I said to him, what I want you to do is I want you to give me 20 minutes of intensity, right? You've got the 4-year-old, 20 minutes. Give me that with the thesis every single day, and then walk away. And if you can do anything else, great, but stay connected with the thesis. And yes, that's completing a task, which is great for the thesis. But more importantly is the meta point, team, staying connected with the thesis. They are the people that finish. So remember that next time thinking, oh, look, I'll just take the day off completely. You know what? Just check a footnote. Check a footnote and you're winning, okay? Have a series of tasks and rank them in terms of intensity and their importance. So if you've got a list of tasks, how intense is it? So 1 to 10, right? And then how long you think it'll take. Bang, 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 bang. So whatever space you've got in the week, you can plug that task into that time. And then, of course, you've done something and you'll feel terrific from completing that micro task. That's important. So just to give you a couple of examples, you might be exhausted. And you go, check 5 references. If you can just check 5 references off Google Scholar, great day. But if you're feeling a little bit more intense, like, oh, if you're feeling more intense like that, then you might write a crucial transitional paragraph in your literature review. So that's a short task, might take you an hour, might take you half an hour, but it's intense. So have a whole series of tasks that are time specific and intensity specific and plug them into your life. So team, this is the moment, of course, you have all been waiting for. At this juncture, we are going to do some desk dancing. Are you with me, brothers and sisters and non-binary identifying colleagues? Are you ready for it? And Lib, go 4-year-olds, yeah, rock and roll. Are you ready to do some desk dancing? And for Lauren and for Jen, I thought we'd have a bit of an Australian intervention and we'll just do 30 seconds to a minute. I often like the chorus, so let's do the chorus. I have a hat, clearly. We're going yellow today. You ready? Oh, that's fantastic. Big hair closer to God. Doesn't really work with the hair, does it? Anyway, and it might come off during the dance. Are you ready? So we're going to dance 30 seconds. Give us 30 seconds. Party on. Let's do this. Let's press play. Let's go over it. Oh, I love the song. I love the song so much. Steve Hall, I don't care. What a great track. Thanks, Beck. How great was this? This was Stock Aitken Woodman, wasn't it? Oh, look on my dress caught up. Did you know the Pet Shop Boys thought this was one of the greatest songs ever recorded? What a great chorus. Listen to this bridge. Oh, what a track. What a track. How good was that? Kylie Minogue. Fantastic. Love you too, Bessie. You're a queen. Icon. Alex, come on. What a woman. What a woman. I hope you were dancing, Alex. You danced beautifully, darling. Okay, so we're sort of nearing the conclusion of this, but I did want to go to methodology. Hold on, coffee. Where? Coffee. Thanks, Jen. Steve Hall. My eyes. Just calm the farm, Steve. Calm the farm. you know, Steve, I could try for gravitas, but I would fail. So then, okay, team, let's talk methodology. Now, this is the interesting bit, okay? Now, this area is called, and I will sort of cut and paste as I go, team, so you've got the language in front of me. Hi, Ali, loving your work, missus. So this is unobtrusive research methods. And again, gorgeous Ali, who is one of our most incredible researchers in this country that's teaching us so much about Indigenous methodology. I learn so much from Ali every single day. And Ali, this is quite significant in this moment where above all moments respect and decency and kindness and research integrity is required in Indigenous methodologies. This is a very, very interesting moment. So team, unobtrusive research methods. So this is non-reactive. So this means you're not gathering data. You're not doing interviews, you're not doing surveys, you're not doing field work, you're not in a lab. You're not in a clinic. You are looking at the already existing environment, okay? So to give you a couple of links on this, if you are interested sonically in this, I used to teach this. What country was I in? I used to teach this in England. In a master's course, and that was the podcast that I used to do. Oh, it's saying it can't share it. I'll put another link to that team. So it's from LibSync. If you do a search for Tara Brabbers on unobtrusive research methods, you'll have a 35-minute podcast on that. But more importantly, there's a guy called Alan Keller here who wrote the book on this, and there's a free chapter that is available on that research methodology. So do please feel free to use that chapter. So what this is about, team, incredibly useful in the online environment. So if you're doing research, non-reactive research, so you're not gathering new data, you're looking at the data that is available online. Keller here started, he was a scholar of death. How buoyant. But of course, so he spent a lot of time in cemeteries, as you do. And of course, you use unobtrusive research methods in cemeteries because you're not like interviewing the dead because you can't because they're dead. So does that mean you don't study the dead? No, it means you have different methods that don't require that you gather new data. So whatever discipline you might be in at this point, say you've got some data from elements that you've done in your PhD, and there might be some challenges in gathering new data in the days or weeks to come. Now, that doesn't mean you stop. That actually means you look at what's available now, you look at what you've got, and see alternative methods and sources that you can deploy to build and transform your research. So just have a think about that, because a lot of students are saying to me, well, how I plan to do this, I can't do it anymore. You know, the way I was going to do this, my thesis is over, it's over, it's over. It's not over. You did this method to get this data set, that's terrific. So what happens now? Think about the iterations of your research and the iteration of your methodologies, and see what you can do. And the innovation comes not with going, oh look, this research was perfect. The grit is what creates the pearl and the oyster. And if the coronavirus ain't grit, I don't know what it is, girlfriend, right? Okay, so use this time. This time, bizarrely, is a gift. It's a once in a generation, once in a century moment for us. And we can just sort of go, hey, and give up and go, well, research isn't possible. Or we can say, you know what? A once in a century type of doing research, a way of doing research we can do. And so let's do it. So have a bit of a look at that. And as I said, I do a lot of work in this. I'm quite interested. I have a lot of students that do work in this area as well. So think about the options that are available. And so what I wanted to finish with, because we're nearing the end of this party, have you had a good time? Have you had a time? You're right. You having a good time? Marie, how are you, Marie? It's lovely to see you. So I'm glad you're having a good time. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bessie. So team, how you are efficient and productive in these times. Everyone's focusing on those big, aren't they? How you can be efficient, how you can be productive. But I'm actually interested in starting somewhere else, I think. How you can be kind to yourself in these sorts of times. And I'm just going to post that as a question, because I want to make sure that you're all offering suggestions to each other, because that's probably the most important thing we can do. If we're going to see the other side of this, and trust me, we're going to do this together. We're going to produce fantastic research together. Because remember, you have a responsibility. We all have a responsibility to keep writing and keep thinking. The planet needs you. It needs you now more than ever, okay? So don't do that. It's over. Don't do that. We need you, okay? And yes, you can be efficient and productive and remote working and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, we've done all that. But all of it starts with you being kind to yourself. You being kind to yourself and kind to others. So just thought that through for me. What does that look like for you? What does being kind, yes, put the hatchet down for a while. Now this one, Paul, you're saying this. You say I can't use this anymore. Are you saying that? You did a disco dance for Jerry, but didn't get him to join in. Jerry, you're an outstanding dancer. Do that. But team, what does being kind to yourself look like? Have a think about that for me. What does it mean for you that we're caring for yourself and caring for others? Because what I'm seeing at the moment, web shopping and eating carbs. Look, I think eating carbs is one of the great pleasures of the universe, Marcello. I really do. And I think, have you noticed sort of like everyone's trying to sort of sell diet goods to everybody at the moment, and people are going, yeah, no. Now, have you noticed, or is it just me, that like the liquor ads, the online shopping for booze ads have increased astronomically? So I think people are drinking their way through the coronavirus, I think. And look, you know, drinking is fine. As you know, I'm not drinking at the moment. I'm in a sort of 6-month non-drinking alcohol moment. So I picked that timing quite well, didn't I? And look, I'm okay with that, actually. I think if I was home and having a Chardonnay, I think that would be quite challenging for me at the moment. So I'm actually quite happy that I'm having to self-manage. So be kind, sitting in silence and really listening. Gigi, that's a brilliant point. I think a lot of this is about kindness, and my fear, and just expressing this, and Steve Hall will laugh at me as he always does, oh my eyes, is I'm worried that we're not seeing kindness at the moment. I think some of the craziness we've seen, not only in Australia, and we had those crazy sort of women punching each other in shopping centres that went around the world. Oh, hashtag living the dream. But the selfishness of the time has been remarkable, really remarkable, and that's frightened me quite a lot. And that's not kindness. And the self-management of stress, I'm not seeing. And I just think something's gone a bit wrong there. Are you seeing that too? Kind to myself, can't fix the. I'm just Elaine. I'm reading Elaine, by the way. Can't be kind to myself. I can't fix the big problems. I need perspective. Holding close my belief that things can be otherwise. Yeah, look, I think that's a great point, Elaine. I think it's a belief in the world can be better and the world can change, and we've got to be part of that solution rather than part of the problem. I really believe that, and that comes from the dissemination of research. It comes from putting high quality information out there for our consideration and interpretation. I absolutely believe that. Do not push, so this is from Bessie, do not push others or yourself too far. And look, again, Bessie, I agree with you. Resilience, I could hear bloody Karen laughing at me. Resilience is like the word well-being for me. I sort of like go, it's sort of like they're the goth sort of, but look, resilience for me, if it is meaningful, I'm interested in institutional resilience, to be honest with you. I'm interested in structures that allow a diversity of life and views and perspectives to exist. So I'm interested in that sort of resilience of our institutions, but resilience in terms of we can face difference. We can face our expectations not being met, our assumptions not being met, and being cool with that. I think for me, that's the bit of the resilience I'm quite comfortable with. So, this is what my 2020 was going to look like. And it's so far away from that, it's funny. It is funny. But then going, all right, well, that was the vibe. Nowhere near that, but we're here. Think about all the fantastic people I've met this year that I would never have had a chance to meet. How terrific is that? I'm producing all sorts of interesting, quirky, weird work that I don't know where it's come from. So it's not this is the research I'm doing this year. It's other. But isn't that interesting too? Because, the nature of being a scholar, I've always thought, is that you live in your time. I've always said the most radical thing you can do is live in the present. And it's about all of us, I think, living in our present, sucking at the marrow of our time, all the complexity and the scrag fights in shopping centres and, you know, that the idea that what people are fighting over has ended up being toilet paper and hand sanitizer. Now, when Steve and I have read Marx's theory, we never thought it would be about toilet paper and hand sanitizer. So isn't that empirically interesting? What does it mean? What do we learn about the nature of social change and social transformation through that? Yeah. And so for me, that's thinking about how you are kind to yourself and you are kind to others, because that's the problem. If you are agitated like this and you're displacing that onto other people, whether it be your partner or your kids or your supervisor, you know, a lot of people are doing nothing but reading 20 terrible text messages a day from somebody, or 300 dreadful emails a day. It makes such a difference when one human being, one of us, says to somebody in these difficult times, you are doing an amazing job. It's not what you thought you would be doing. It's not the PhD that you thought you would write, but wow, how clever are you? You are, that was the project, and now you're here providing a new loop, a new way into that research. How fantastic is that? Oh, that's fantastic. So Barb the Mighty. So I'm just going to go back and check on people now. Spread the love. Oh, Paul, you old hippie. You old hippie, Paul. Spread the love. You're the best, Paul. Let's have a look. Now, Narelle, who the poor bugger is my PhD student, and she's going to be finished about Easter, I think. So we're working Narelle hard. If the negative gets too much, I've kept a few student email gems and reflect on these as it reminds me I've helped who I can. I mean, Narelle is one of the greatest teachers I've ever had the privilege to work with, and she is transforming biology. She teaches first year biology, and those of you that know biology, first year bio, like first year cultural studies, Narelle is a whole other party. And Narelle is transforming how we think about andragogy in universities. And I've recommended that to a lot of people. If you can have, and I do it, have in my email a folder which says, I mean, tragically for me, it says nice emails. I get so few nice emails that I have to have a whole other category for them. But as Narelle said, when time is difficult, when times are difficult, having sort of a little spot where lovely little gems happen, it makes you feel a lot better about the universe. And one of those messages from the 300 of like, oh, can really transform people's lives. So I think that's a really great point, Narelle. And Caroline said to combat selfishness. And can I just say, Caroline, it's the selfishness that's freaked me out the most. It's just the, ooh, that's the bit that's taken my breath away. So to combat the selfishness, me and my kids have put a sharing box on our mailbox and are filling it with pre-loved books and puzzles. I love a bloody good puzzle. Puzzles to share with our neighbours as they go for a walk. See, that's the vibe. That's it. That's it. And we've got Facebook pages offering grocery shopping, delivering of food. That's fantastic. Now, Beth is saying sleep. Sleep is everything. Adequate sleep, meditating. You are right, girl. You are right. Naps. Love a good nap. Oh, geez, it's been years since I had a good nap. Napping, maybe we can make that a whole thing. And reaching out when you feel the tendency to isolate. I think that's crucial, Beth. So when you feel that weird thing happening in you, particularly if you're living on your own, I've lived on my own a lot. After Steve's death, I lived on my own. That was an interesting time. Sundays were pretty challenging. So if you're in that space, team, use the resources that are available. And if there are no resources available, make them. Contact me and we will find them. You're meeting thousands of new people through this list. As I said, several marriages will be formed. SC, we're looking for you, girlfriend. We're looking for you. So let's have a look. Caroline, living in my time. I've started keeping a chapter journal. Oh, yes, to sit alongside my PhD research, calling it Writing in the Time of Pandemic. That is absolutely fantastic because I thought it would help me in the now, but also researchers in the future. Look, Carol, I think we talk a lot about reflection and reflection on methods. The notion that you can simply do a PhD or any research as normal in this environment, I think is delusional. And therefore I think, you've always heard me say, put the problem into the work. That's my thing. I'll put on a t-shirt. Well, here is the problem. And it'll transform how we think about methods and methodology. and epistemology. Knowledge is changing here. What we think of as rigor and transparency and research integrity is transforming. And I think that's really important. And Barb's continued there, and I'll make the sort of the last point too, that her journaling and reflection is offering a big picture perspective about capitalism, the reserve army, and sticking together. And that's incredibly important. Barb, I think that's You Are Mighty. That's incredibly important. So wonderful people. We are doing well. We are doing well together. I hope that conversation has been useful to you today. You are spectacular humans. I'm coming back again tomorrow. The lovely Amy's given me a series of projects to look at for tomorrow, but please keep the conversations going for me. Please keep the requests coming in. We're having a lovely time. And so can I just say, on behalf of Flinders University, because they're paying me and this is my office, but can I also say it is a privilege to be in a job like this as a Dean of Graduate Research. It is a privilege to be a scholar. It is a privilege to have the opportunity to do a degree and work in higher education. It is a privilege. And in times such as this, when I'm working with some of the greatest minds on the planet that I'm seeing in these comments, you make it a joy to come to work. I wish you success. I wish you a fantastic and fabulous day. Thank you for joining me for our coffee this morning. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Much love. You are tremendous. And always remember, you are incredibly precious. See you tomorrow morning. Love ya.